Hi everyone and welcome back to the flight briefing room. It's a very quick insert into this video to explain why it's all about gaining my license. I love flying my PB, the sub 70 classification. The classification of sub 70 is all about 70 kilograms or 75 if you're carrying a reserve. That is the structure of the aircraft and the fuel carried. At the moment, I can only carry 11 litres. I've got a 20 litre tank in the aircraft, but I can't fill it. By law, I am not allowed to carry any more than my 75 kilogram weight. For me to carry more fuel, I need to have a microlight licence. So this new video series is all about me gaining my microlight licence. Not because I want to buy a bigger aircraft, a faster aircraft, or carry more passengers, although in the future that would be nice to rent an aircraft and take friends flying. But it means I can convert my PB from sub 70 to what's known as single seat deregulated, SSDR. That means I designate with the Civil Aviation Authority a maximum takeoff weight, and then I can fill the tank full, carry more fuel, carry extra luggage, as long as, with me in the airframe, I do not exceed that maximum takeoff weight. So this series is all about effectively me gaining my microlight licence so I can fly my PB heavier and go and visit more places. So let's leave the flight briefing room and you'll join me introducing Mark, my flying instructor at Airways Air Sports. So hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm at Airways with Mark, who is going to be my instructor over the next coming weeks and flights. PB in the background, I'm going to be back having lessons here at Airways to help me get my microlight licence. I have a lapsed Group A PPL and I want to use that under the British Microlight Aircraft Association rules to allow me to get my microlight licence.
Well, I mean, we've discussed earlier, obviously, that your situation is not necessarily a unique one, but it's certainly, you're in a different position than just turning up on the doorstep. You know,
right.
you like you said, you've got a lapsed PPLA, which is a fantastic position to be in. And you also gain a lot of experience on a Flexwing, you know, so the upgrade, as it were, you know, going to an MPPL really is going to open up avenues for you. But you're in this unique situation where you're coming here with trying to achieve one thing, but actually there's a second part of there which we may not have thought about. Obviously for the MPPL and certainly for the test, you know, we need to get you to a test standard.
Right.
And there's a number of issues that come with that. One of which is obviously you've got a lot of experience. Now, whether that's a good
is that an issue or is it a bonus?
It can be for your test. Particularly, It's just like you can imagine retaking your driving test now.
Right. Okay.
You know, we pick up so many bad habits, or we've got so many experience that sometimes things where we want you to be for an examiner level, certainly for taking a test, may have sort of been morphed into your version of events.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we've got a number of issues to contend with. One, a completely different aircraft. We know that the control system is the same. You know, rolling left is still pulling the bar in. You know, changing the attitude is still being done on pitch. But we're dealing with an aircraft now that's got a lot more inertia to it, significantly more power than you've been used to. And really, like I say, the main issues I think that you're going to find converting from a sub 70 to a microlight, Flexwing microlight, is the power and the initial inertia that you're going to have there to contend with. There's all of that we need to contend with, and I'm pretty sure you've already, knowing your background, I'm pretty sure you've already gone through those thought processes and done all the research.
I mean, you've seen off my checklist already.
God, yeah, you said that. What's that new one, you know? But things like, you know, you mentioned checklists, and there's so many pilots that the moment they're qualified, the checklists are the first things to go.
Right.
You know, and we see things on aircraft when we're doing permits, and they've got little sticky labels with them still on because they still try to, but the important thing is that you actually are doing the right check. It doesn't necessarily need to be the same one that I'm using, so long as it's the relevant one for what we're doing at the right time, you know, and not just paying lip service. Your examiner, and certainly our examiners, they're going to put you through the paces. They're fair, but what they're more importantly looking for you to do, they're looking forward for you to be safe. You know, they're looking for you to be safe.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you know, that's kind of where we come in on the training side, is not to teach you to pass the test, teaching you so that you're actually safe. So the test bit is just a normal flight as if you were taking a passenger, and that really should how it's been. So even bizarrely looking out, when we're doing a high bank angle turn, or even a medium bank angle turn, that we're looking in the right places as we're doing that turn.
Yeah.
Again, when I do revalidation flights, and let's just take off, and we'll make this altitude, and we'll turn onto this heading. It's there, and everything that happens is between the A-frame, and that's about as far as it goes. I
think for me as well, the significance is I'm going from a single seat with only my life.
Yeah.
And the NPPL in that gives me the ability to fly two people, so I've got somebody else's life with me.
Yeah.
It's not just all about me, it's about two people now.
No, and this is, again, keep coming back to check this, when we are doing things in the air, a lot of them are also relevant to the passenger. And 9 times out of 10, your passenger is probably someone who's never been in the air before. I mean, one of the things that encouraged me on becoming an instructor is I just never went flying without somebody. Taking somebody up for the first time is one of the best experiences you'll ever do. You
fantastic.
Just shared something with somebody.
I do miss that, and this is probably the reason I'm coming back to it. Is I want to be able to be in a position in the future to take somebody else with me.
You have the option too, which is fantastic. Again, genuinely applaud you for someone striving that and going, let's do something more. But when we are checking helmets and headsets, or say we are coming into land and doing are you secure? You're not just going, right, I'm all secure. You want to be checking the passenger. So what we're going to do this week. This week, obviously, what we're going to spend time is just getting used to the difference on type. We're aware we're not doing a Flexwing to fixed-wing conversion. We are literally looking at the difference of flying a sub 70 going to a machine. Ours is 409, with 2-seat microlight. So I know that you're going to be fine with rolling the aircraft and using power to maintain height, but we're just getting used to the differences and the response. Ours is a 4-stroke Rotax, so it's going to respond a lot quicker than a 2-stroke, certainly the engine on your machine. And getting used to that, and again, the inertia of going there. We'll also look a bit of fun and put you through your paces. It's fun.
I have been warned already. He's going to test me. So.
Well, if you're coming to learn, then learn. And we'll look at doing some more of the advanced stuff as well. Experience. So we're going to spend a bit of time in crosswinds. We're going to do some engine failures, some unusual attitudes.
Brilliant.
We're going to drop it out of the sky.
Thank you very much.
The whole works. Let's get you a fully rounded pilot and make sure you're happy.
Cool. Well, the weather's looking good at the moment, so we will hopefully get a bit more suited up, get the aircraft ready, and we'll hopefully join you in the air. So this was the only flight I wasn't actually able to capture any of the in-flight intercom audio. So I'll just do a bit of an overlay just so you can understand what's going on. It's a very short, I've chopped the flight up to keep it really short, but it was a familiarisation flight for me to allow Mark to show me the landmarks, the features, and just give me an orientation of the area. Also, it allowed Mark to see where I was at with my flying abilities, and also for me to get used to Mark's instructional style. You have to be able to get on with your instructor, and I actually really enjoyed this flight with Mark. Those that fly the area will recognise this quite famous landmark. It's the Cassington Water with the wind turbines to the north, which makes local navigation very, very easy. It was quite a thermic day with quite a strong blustery crosswind, which you'll see later on in the flight when we come into land. And Mark was just seeing where my flying was at. A lot of this will be covered in the debrief. This is the only video that's going to have the sort of intro brief and the outro brief from Mark. The rest are going to be more focused on the in-flight instructional side. He took me through some low rate turns, some higher rate turns, just to see where I'm at. I managed them, I felt okay, but again, I'll leave all that for the debrief. It was a glorious day with great visibility, and I really enjoyed this, but as you'll see in this part of the video, Mark is getting me to do some steeper turns. I thought I was doing okay, but this is where he identified that part of my sort of procedural training for doing steep rate turns wasn't quite right, and you'll see him indicating where I should be looking. You know, it's checking my airspace, checking my wires, checking my attitude, and checking my instrumentation, and doing that as a constant scan. And that was something I'd never covered before and wasn't really required for the sub 70. Again, going to the NPPL and the Flexwing is really taking my flying to that next level, and I'm really relishing that as a challenge. So here we are, just enjoying the local area, and I think we're almost on the way back in for the landing, which certainly was uneventful, but I don't think I would have been up to it at my initial day one level of training for NPPL. Those that have flown to Dilymore, this is on the northerly approach. We've done an overhead rejoin already, and I've cut all that piece out. We are getting thrown around quite a lot, and as you can see with the angle of the wing camera, it is actually quite a substantial crosswind. And from this direction, we do actually get a lot of mechanical turbulence off the trees and off the hangars, which is why we're displacing the you'll see it in a second where we just drop through in that turbulence. There we go, right smack bang through the turbulence, and then coming in a lot faster than we would normally do because of the crosswind to come in for a landing, and then we taxi back in. So I'll leave it here and await my grilling and the debrief. Join you in a second.
So how was that for you? A lot to learn. There was a lot of things I didn't know.
Yeah. Again, like we were saying, you know, the whole purpose of this flight was just a recce. Not just for you to sort of get used to the aircraft, but also for me to see how you were under instruction and what were your tolerances and limits. You probably noticed I wasn't particularly giving you a hard time about altitude or air speeds. You know, it's everyone falls into how they are comfortable in to fly. You know, I'm going to try show you a few tips and tricks on how I fly, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to fly that way. But ultimately, you know, your general airmanship, your handling it is very good. You know, you've got a good lookout, or you are looking out. We'll come back to that one. You know, and your sort of patter. You know, so when we were doing the climbing and descending, you know, you were bar back, coming off the power, leveling off, power and attitude together, which is exactly what you're looking for, really. And again, so like we were saying earlier this morning, you know, there's two sides of this. There's one of learning to fly a two-seater heavier Flexwing microlight, and then there's passing the test. Now, for me, what was apparent on this flight really was that actually there's going to be more work on passing the test than actually controlling the aircraft. You know, I'm pretty sure that you'll be able to put it in the right direction, maintain altitude, you know, change speeds, but there's just, you know, like I say, just obvious some little, I'm trying to think of the right word, bad habits that have crawled in.
Yeah.
So like, for example, your lookout as we're flying around, your lookout's like this, which is great, you're still looking out. So as an instructor, or certainly as an examiner sitting in the back seat of a Flexwing, your head's here. As it turns round, I should be able to see the whites of your eyes, whereas what I'm seeing is sort of the corners of your visor. So I can see where and how far it is that you're looking. Yes, you're not sort of living in the A-frame, which is where most people end up, but if you can make a point of going, I am here, and where am I going to? Over there, what's there? Yeah, that's where you're looking, because the moment you roll that wing in, you've just created a huge blind spot. Things like that, easily to work
24 years ago was the last time I was Group A instructed, and I'm sure there are bad habits.
Exactly, and well, coming back to conversation this morning, that's exactly where I kind of see probably more of your work being. Ultimately, there is going to be a GST in this. You know, we are going to take you up with an examiner, and he's going to, or she's going to, pull you on varying things. So let's try and nip them in the bud early on. I'll try not to remind you too much. I do give a tolerances, and you know, and a great FIE friend of mine, he put it to me of, if you think that you couldn't maintain that altitude, you can't ask the student to. So if I'm saying maintain 2,200 feet and it's bumpy as hell and we're being thrown around and you wave a 40 feet, Well, I'd waver 40 feet, I'd waver 60 feet, you know, so there are tolerances.
Yeah.
What we're looking for, particularly at this level, is whether you're reacting to it. Oh, we're going up, you know, and that you're correcting it in the right direction. You were doing all of that. That was great, you know. So there's less. This is what I was saying about the patter. Your natural reaction is to do things in the right order, which is really, really promising. It's not like, Christ, we're gonna have to start again with gyros, you know. So
that's it. I'll take that one.
Yeah. So there's your up. So yeah, I mean, as first flights go, it's good. Particularly, you know, we came in for quite an entertaining crosswind landing. Ultimately, it gives you a little bit more control, and again, in an aircraft with no rudder, you know, and the wind's coming from your left, you are going to weathercock. You know, T of E's. You know, I know you are with T of E's.
Yeah.
If the only way that we can cut the nose from being in this direction to that way is by increasing the airspeed. So, you know, by increasing the airspeed brings the nose round,
reducing the crosswind component,
and reduces the crosswind component. But it's then bringing on the stuff, you know. And certainly when we were coming into circuit and we were getting lower down, you know, it's midday. You know, we're going to get thermals, we're going to get chop. You're in an unusual aircraft for the first time. You know, there's an instructor behind me, and all of that comes with everybody, really. You know, your natural reaction was to go back to sub 70. You know, that was your natural thing of fly what I know, fly what I know. And that's, you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But like I say, ultimately we're looking at that 2-seat microlight and an MPPL GST.
Yeah.
We have 2 examiners that are tough in different areas, so we'll see which one we put you in. We'll find out what your weaknesses are and exploit them.
Yeah, cheers.
That's okay, you know. On your test, you are going to have an engine failure. You're probably going to have 2. One's probably going to be en route somewhere. It might be with or without power. I can pretty much guarantee you're going to have an engine failure on either on takeoff or somewhere where you wouldn't want an engine failure, because that's when it's going to happen.
It's never convenient.
No, it's never convenient unless you're perfectly set up on the glide. It can turn off then whenever it likes.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just, let's get these skills in there. And again, you know, you can use a glide approach or a powered approach in order to achieve whatever it is that you're trying to do, whether it be a crosswind landing or a short strip or rough field or whatever. But knowing your aircraft and know its limitations and knowing your limitations really will sort of aid your skills on that.
Brilliant. Okay.
Good fun?
Good fun. I think I'm going to leave it there. I need another cup of tea.